Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Sports Recap. Woo! My name is Lucas Tremaine. I'm going to be your announcer for the day. Gentlemen, I'm currently recording this at 6:18 p.m. Central Time here at Sunday. Cup race ended about 10 minutes ago. Like, about there. Like, Cup race really just ended. We have a lot to talk about. I'm not happy. I'm very upset right now. Very, very upset. Highly upset. You may say, gentlemen, we need to talk about something. Right? I was wrong. I was highly wrong. This was not the first week of March Madness. March Madness is like March 16th and 17th, or when it starts. But I did watch a college basketball game. I watched the UConn Villanova game. Uh, I'm gonna be honest. I knew Villanova and UConn were pretty good teams, and UConn went up 42-28. So I mean that was really the most notable thing that happened in that game. I mean it looks fun. Like I'm gonna watch March Madness once it comes on, but gentlemen, we need to talk about all the goofiness that occurred in car racing. All right. We had, let's see, how many car races we got? Well, before we say, Julius Randle scored game-winning three to win 8 in a row. That's all I heard about the NBA. That's literally everything. There's probably NBA games going on right now, but I don't care. I do not care at all. No care. And normally I wait a day to do this, but I just wanted to do this whole cup race reaction thing when it's fresh in my mind. GT America. If you don't know what GT America is, it's the racing series where Gray Newell almost got murdered at Road America. But it's a season opener, and 48 seconds into the season, Jeff Burton, not the NASCAR guy, but Jeff Burton, slams into the wall, takes a wheel off, car slides to a halt, and like 4 cars crash in 2 separate incidents. 48 seconds into the season. I found a GT car sponsored by OnlyFans. That was pretty funny. The GT4 leader yeeted it into the wall, and then the GT4 leader, a different guy, blew a tire and lost the win. Which I think we've had like how many late race leader incidents that we had this week? Like five. Like 5 times this week we've had leaders like in their days in the most heartbreaking fashions. Well, let's start out at the bottom tier. The truck race. Trucks. This race had some goofiness in it. 10 individual crew teams had their flights delayed tremendously. And they got there, like the crews got to the racetrack, I think, right after the first pit stops. So it seems like Kyle Busch were doing like Kyle Busch I think had to pull his I think Christopher Bell's Cup team to do his pit stop, just completely out of nowhere. Kyle Busch ended up winning that race. We had 4 backmarker spins, 4 of them. They had one of the front guys, and I think a backmarker. I think it was Raja Caruth. Raja had already spun earlier in the day, but he tapped it with a back end. He just tapped the back end into the wall. It bent up some of the metal, but it really didn't do much damage. Like the car was still drivable. It was still raceable, and it was still in good condition. It was repairable. Then they cut to Raja Caruth in the pits. The front right corner is just shoved in. Oh wait, no. I think it was the left rear was shoved in. The right rear. Sorry. The right rear of the car was completely pushed in. And then they cut to one of the front runners, he led laps at some point. One of those guys. I forget who it was. It might not have even been Raja Caruth. But he comes in and the front right of it, or the front left of his car, sorry, is pushed in. And now I'm not good at puzzles, but it was pretty clear that those two had made pretty significant contact, and they just didn't show a replay of it. Like, not a single replay of a backmarker and leader crashing into each other. They barely even talked about it. They just showed the two on pit road and were like, oh, look at that. They got damaged. Now they're doing pit stops. Like, what are we doing? I think they had a crazy save. I think it was Derek Cross's old car. I think Christian Eckes, was it? Got backwards. Standard truck save. You just slammed the gas and it went straight. And we're going to get to the broadcast here. That was broadcast mistake number one. The Xfinity race. The Xfinity race, the whole Vegas weekend really didn't have much going on. The truck race was the only good race out of Xfinity and Cup. Xfinity had a mediocre race. They had a trash bag get hit during the Xfinity race. And I'm going to be honest with you, the way the trash bag was bouncing along the racetrack and the way it got hit, I dead ass thought a cat got hit again. Like, I dead ass thought we had, like, NASCAR or, like, fucking, like, a black bear got hit. Like, it was too big for it to be a cat, but, like, my brain didn't know that, you know what I'm saying? It ended up getting hit, and then it just kept going upwards, and I finally realized that was a trash bag and not someone's pet. Sammy Smith lost it under braking and going into pit road, and he loses it under braking, entering pit road, and he almost completely wiped out Sam Mayer's pit stall. Like, Sam Mayer was doing 4 fresh tires. He had the crew man. He had, like, the fuel guy out there and everything. Sam Mayer's in the first pit stall, and Sam Mayer, or Sammy Smith, I'm getting these names confused. Sammy Smith comes down pit road, and guys had been doing this all weekend. They would slam on the brakes to get to pit road, and it's pretty awkward to get into the Vegas pit, but they slam on the brakes, and then they just, I don't know if they lose it, if they lose the front or if it was the back, but they would, like, get really loose, and they'd almost miss pit road completely. And Sammy Smith did that, except he corrected too hard and slid at, like, highway speed into the pit wall. Thankfully, he hit nobody, which, I mean, you know, it could have been bad, but thankfully the Sam Mayer pit stall wasn't, like, one pit stall back, because he would have been hit. Before we get to the Cup race, let's talk about the F1 and Indycar race. Charles Leclerc blew the fuck up, and Alonso finished third, and Ocon got like 3 minutes worth of penalties. That's literally it. Nothing else happened. I swear. I think, was it Alonso that crashed into somebody? I don't know. I think Alonso crashed into someone. I think like crashed into Stroll in the start. That's it. Literally nothing happened in the F1 race. And this happens every time. Every single time I hear someone say this, it always ends up the same way. Someone says, hey, that F1 race is complete ass. I really didn't like that. And I'm going to be 100. That was a pretty decent F1 race. Like, that was, for F1 standards, and I've seen a lot of F1 races. For F1 standards, that's a pretty good race. That's pretty good, all right? I think it was worth my time watching. But what these new fans don't understand, and I made the same mistake when I was a new fan, but just because the race was not high quality, and just because the race wasn't amazing, doesn't mean it was a bad race. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Like, if you watch a race and you're upset at the ending, like if the race ends and you're just like not happy with what happened, then you can say it's a bad race. But I didn't feel that way. I really didn't. And that's the first time I've really had that feeling. Like, I haven't watched F1 in a long time. And I see this race and I'm thinking, that's exactly what I remember happening. Like, a standard Bahrain race, like, you can't expect much. Especially nowadays with F1, where every race ends with every car, like, 50 seconds apart. Like, it's it sucks, but I mean, what else can you do? Like, at least they passed each other. At least they passed. Like, the first half of that race was pretty good. The second half was F1 standards, which is just how all the races go. Like, you watch any Monaco race, watch any Silverstone race, and it's the same thing. Indycar race, however, this race was goated. This IndyCar race is amazing, bro. I'm gonna be 100. That was my favorite event of the weekend. Possibly IndyCar race of the year. Not motorsport race of the year, but IndyCar race of the year. All right. And you know what's good? It could be motor race of the year. Big lap 1 crash. This was a thing a lot of people were talking about. What happened? Who was it that hit the wall first? It was one of the Arrow McLarens got up wide by... Well, Scott Dixon got under him. They touched, and then Arrow McLaren hit the wall, which sent him... He crashed, but he DNF'd. But I think it was... Someone got spun behind him. The guy goes around. A couple other guys come piling in. I think... Was it Castro Neves that got launched up in the air trying to avoid? Like, I think Castro went down to the bottom of the track to get away from the melee, and he ended up getting just slammed in the front end. He rode over the front of one of the cars, but the big incident everyone's talking about, who was it? I don't remember who it was. If I had to guess, I'd say it was Lundgaard. He got backwards in just the right way to where one of the back markers came in, and the back marker was completely unsighted. I mean, he's coming around a blind turn behind another car. He comes around, car in front of him checks up, he goes to the outside. No way of him slowing down, and he hits this guy directly in the front left wheel. And if you've ever seen one of these Indy cars, when they don't have the front wing on, that front left wheel, the nose cone is below the front left wheel. And that's especially when you have the wing on and the other car doesn't. The front left wheel gets hit, alright, and the front left wheel goes on top of the other car, which causes a chain of reactions that sends the car that gets hit 8 feet in the air, almost lands on top of someone's car. Like, huge wreck, big incident, amazing to see live. Thankfully, everybody was okay as far as I know. I think everyone was okay. But, huge wreck. Like, y'all need to see the replays, because he got, like, 2 car links up in the air. Like, I'm going to be 100. I saw that crash live, and the live shot they were showing was of, I think, turn 5. Right past that turn. And it's down the straightaway. And you see the cars piling in, and it's... Oh, wow, that's a bunch of cars. Oh, goodness. And then this car flies up in the air, like, twice as high as everyone else. Comes back down. He doesn't land on anybody. He just goes straight back down. And the first thing my brain thought was, did that happen? Did that guy really just get sent 8 feet in the sky? Like, he pole vaulted. He did. And that's... I think the first IndyCar T-bone I've ever seen. It wasn't really much of a T-bone, it was more of just a big yeet. But let's get to the rest, because I can talk about this for hours. Colin Herta gets crashed out by, who was it? I think Will Power. Will Power killed him. Will Power got, like, shuffled to the back. He's running the bottom side through a 90-degree turn. He doesn't give the guy on the outside any room. Like, guy on the outside's, like, way faster than him, battling at the lead, and then he just says, fuck it, you're crashing, and just door slams him into the wall. Will Power definitely deserved to get sent to the rear for that bullshit, but... then they had the second major airborne wreck. If you didn't see this crash, similar to the first, except it involved 2 cars, one car hitting the tire wall, 90-degree turn, of course. Guy hits the tire wall. Standard street course crash. Guy behind him hits him in the rear. And then the guy directly behind him rides up over the top of both of them and then does like a full handstand before slamming down on the rear axle. That guy was Kyle Kirkwood. Now, Kirkwood, after 3 laps of repairs, they said, you know what? We get that your car was like completely 90 degrees with the nose cone implanted in the dirt. Why don't we send you back out there? There can't be anything that bad. They slap a new nose cone on it, send him back out, and he finishes the race 3 laps down. He doesn't get lapped. None of that happens. He manages to keep the car clean for the rest of the race, and he finishes. Amazing. It reminded me of David Malukas whenever he got launched up in the air at the Nashville Street Course. Like, it was one of those type hits. But all right, let's see. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Jack Harvey was one of the guys involved in that crash, and whenever he got out of his car, you could tell something was wrong. Like, he was like, and this is the same thing for one of the drivers in the first big wreck, like limping around. Like, I'm not sure if they did anything with the new leg areas, but it feels like if you crash this thing weird, if you get launched up in the air just a little bit, something goes wrong inside the car. Because I saw that every crash I saw with someone getting out of the car, they had like one or both of their legs just straightened out completely. Like, I'm not sure if I'm the one that noticed that or if any car's looking into it, but that was weird. That was not right. But Jack Harvey was taken to the hospital in stable condition. I believe that was for heat exhaustion. It was about halfway through the race, and they said it had like 100% humidity with... Like, yeah, 100% humidity, and it was like 90 degrees in South Florida, so, you know, that sucks. And then we have the Grosjean crash. Oh boy, y'all are gonna love this. Roman Grosjean and Scott McLaughlin had been bumper to bumper for like 20 laps before this. Scott McLaughlin and Grosjean have been like sharing the lead the whole race. Scott McLaughlin makes an early pit stop. Well, no. Grosjean pits first, and then McLaughlin. But as Grosjean is coming around at race pace, past pit road, McLaughlin comes out, and the way the track is shaped, it's the merger from the pit road to the racetrack is straight, but there's a turn right as that merger happens. So once the two cars, you need to see a track map. You need to see a track map to know what I'm talking about. But the two come into each other, and they're like inches apart. Grosjean gets closer, and then he dives up the outside trying to make a pass. And this is for the win too. Like, whoever is out front at the end of this duel wins the race. And Grosjean picks the outside line, and Scott McLaughlin is on old tires. Oh God, the tires aren't grippy enough for this to really be a factor. Like, oh my God, what is that? Like a bug flew in my mouth. But McLaughlin late brakes despite having no tires and cold brakes. He late brakes, locks it up, the back end steps out a little bit. Like, if Grosjean wasn't there, he's still hitting the tire wall. Like, he's still gonna crash. He goes backwards into Grosjean, and both of them go spearing into the tire wall. Both of them crash out. Your two leaders, Grosjean, I think, was looking for his first... Well, no, I think Grosjean's already won a race, but McLaughlin's looking for his first win, I think. No, McLaughlin's already won a race, yeah. These two are... Yeah, they're battling for wins, and they crash each other out. And I'm going to be honest. Grosjean got a little bit aggressive, and Scott McLaughlin got a little bit aggressive. But I don't think you can blame either person for that. Like, you have a win on the table. Whoever wins this battle wins the race. If McLaughlin doesn't make that move, and if Grosjean doesn't make that move, then there's a pretty good chance neither of them win the battle. And it just happened to a place where both of them crashed each other out. Like, you can't really be mad at that because it's a win. A win is a win. A win is a win. Finishing the race is the first part, and getting to the finish. Well, no, that's the same thing, but getting to the finish is the first part, and that's where they both stepped up on. Then Joseph Newgarden's, I think, brake pads caught on fire. That who cares? Uh, then the two new leaders were two rejects from F1. I think it was Marcus Ericsson and Patricio Ward. I think Marcus Ericsson's best known for flipping an F1 car. Yeah, flipping an F1 car at Monza, and who was it? Who else? Patio Ward. I think his best accomplishment was who was it? Was it Jenson Button? I'm thinking. Who is the guy that hit the dude in the back and did a full like a full front flip and landed on the wheels? Who was that? Like the Saba of Marcus Ericsson. But I don't think that was Ericsson. I think that was a Ward. Like Patty Ward comes like slow car, gets in front of a fast car. Fast car slams into the back of him. He goes way high. I think that's what he's best known for. But back to the racing. A Ward screwed it up. What did he do? Oh yeah, yeah. He apparently had some kind of mechanical failure going past the last turn and onto the front stretch. He goofed it and ended up going from first to second and took the L. Very sad, very sad, very sad. Oh yeah, and I forgot to talk about this, but a similar thing happened in the Xfinity race, except Chandler Smith, instead of blaming it on a mechanical failure, just didn't save tires and lost the race. But yeah. Probably the best race. I don't want to say that's possibly the best race I've ever seen. That's a little bit of a stretch, but too many crashes. Race gets booted from live coverage. Like no interviews, none of that. Just gets booted off coverage completely. And now we got to get to the NASCAR race. Woo! Chase Elliott's tibia breaks in half, and he misses the race because he is a bitch. Honestly, standard Chase Elliott moment. You have all the fans, you have all of his like meat munchers, like, oh yeah, thoughts and prayers, Chase Elliott. Hope he's not like seriously hurt. Hope he can come back. And then you have the Chase Elliott haters that are just like, yeah, I hope he fucking died. Like this, it's so fucking dumb. I'm gonna make a video about this. I've been talking about this too much about how bad the community is. I'm gonna make a video on it. Just how bad the NASCAR community is. Good lord. But yeah, you have Chase Elliott meat munchers, haters going to like complete fucking war. You have like the Chase Elliott fan, like actual fans that aren't like ride or dies that are like, oh no, I'm so sad, bro. I wish Chase Elliott could race. And then you have haters in the comments section like, bro, you should kill yourself now. And like, what is happening? Like, it's so bad. It's like, how fucking retarded can you be? That was one of the comments I saw, unironically. Like, imagine enjoying a driver. Like, I'm not a Chase Elliott fan. I think I'm more of a hater than or more of a critic than anybody, but like, what is happening? Like, he didn't do anything wrong. All he did was break a leg in a snowboarding act. And what did he break? Yeah, snowmobile. Yeah, just like Ken Block. Yeah, I feel like any person who's related to cars should just not be on a snowmobile anymore. Like, we've lost Ken Block and we've almost lost Chase Elliott. What next? Who else has to die? We need to talk about this race. This race was ass. Like, ass. I've never in my career, well, I have several times in my career, snooze fest, nothing happened. Joey Logano spins. Woo! Whoop-de-doo. We've had literally like 70% of the race happen. Joey Logano spins because he's a dumbass and doesn't know how to corner properly. Well, it may not have been his fault, but I'm a hater too. Fuck it, we go on villain arc. But yeah, Joe Log crashes. Boohoo. He flew a bit, which I think is the only good part about this race, was that car lifting up just a few inches when he got around. But we're gonna get a car flip over one of those. Like this happened. I don't want to say it happened at Charlotte, but it happened at like a few different tracks, where someone would get sideways, hit the mini racetrack on the front stretch, and just go up 3 or 4 inches. Like I think who was it? Suarez did that earlier last year, but then the last 4 laps happened. And let me break this down, right? I'm not going to give any opinions. I'm just going to give a full breakdown. Eric Almirola gets loose with 4 to go. The car backs it into the wall. He gets about 45 degrees sideways, and then the front end comes back and hits the wall. Of course, the way the front wheels are, the car jumped up in the air like 2 inches. Boo-hoo. It keeps happening. The car then comes back down the track, very slow pace. Then he gets back up to race pace. And then the caution comes out. And then we go to overtime. We probably shouldn't have gone to overtime because everybody knew it was going to happen. It was going to be 4 wide throughout the field. There was going to be a big wreck, and then the race was going to end at a caution. That's what people thought was going to happen. But then they went 4 wide, and then they had a big crash, and no caution. Not a single yellow flag. And then the leaders come over the start finish line, and William Byron wins. Woo! Oh my god. Josh Berry did okay. He finished a lap down, but he was alright. Josh Berry was a good replacement for Elliott. Now we got to get to my opinions. Oh boy, this is going to be great. This is what y'all have been sticking through. How long is this? Like 27 minutes in? This is what y'all have been sticking through? Well, here's what happened. Replays of the last lap crash. One replay. The replay started with the what did the replay start with? It started with the 16 spinning and then getting doored in, like hit directly in the driver's side door. And then once everyone started going sideways and starting in to point straight, like once everyone started pointing straight, then the camera cut away. Which was the only replay of the crash, mind you. Apparently Christopher Bell and Bubba Wallace got into an argument on pit road. No one punched anybody, but they were upset. 4 to go caution with Eric Almirola. How many replays did we get? 1 replay. 1 singular. It was a good replay, but if you missed that 1 replay, then that sucked. And this has happened several times this year, and I think I'm guilty of this as well. I will miss the 1 singular replay they show of an incident and immediately just think, no replay, oops. This is how used to it I've gotten. Like, here's what I don't get. We had 2 live shots. We had one of the live shots that showed the crash on the back straight, and then we had that replay of the back straight crash. Why didn't we show at least another replay? Like, Eric Almirola crashed on the front stretch, coming out of turn number 4. We don't have another replay of that? Really? Like, I get ad breaks exist, but we can't show another replay? Really? We have to listen to the no energy in the booth? Like, the booth was horrible. Like, nothing happened all race. No one in the booth was making anything exciting. They had, I think, stage 2. Stage 2 restart happens. And they were racing for like 30 laps. No one was really saying anything. Like, why would I watch this? And if there was nothing better to watch on TV, I wouldn't be watching this. Because it sucks. Like, it's just turning people away from the sport. Like, every single cup race that we have had has either been a pretty good race, not memorable, or this, a complete disaster. Like, if this is what you're producing every week, why would anybody watch? Like, why would anybody get invested in a sport where this is what happens? Like, was there a reason for that caution to come out? I've seen a lot of people say this. Was there a reason for that to come out? Yeah, I think so. I mean, we saw what happened to Kyle Busch and I think Ross Chastain. Like, we really don't need to have that happen again. Because, let's not lie here, that was a little bit of NASCAR's fault for not putting the yellow out earlier. But, like, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. And then we have, like, the camera work. The camera work was so bad. It's a 2 lap shootout. The leaders were side by side for the first lap, and the camera only showed the leaders. They went 4 wide throughout the field at one point, and they just didn't show it. The whole first lap of the overtime was just the top 4 cars side by side the whole time. Like the top 4 cars, door to door, single file, and it's just them. No one's making any moves, no one's doing anything cool. It's just the leaders up front racing, which I don't like that. Like we have the Goodyear blimp. Like y'all don't understand that we have the Goodyear blimp on a restart. We can see the whole field. The whole field is only like what? How long is a whole field? Like maybe a tenth of a mile long to view the entire field, and we can't put that in one shot. Are you kidding me? Like the whole track is like the whole track is 1 mile and a half, 1.5 miles in length. You mean to tell me that in a 1.5 mile long event, in a 1.5 mile long track, with a 1/10 long field worth of cars, worth of actual racing, we can't put all that in one shot? It's so dumb. Because I imagine we missed a bunch of cool shit on that restart where everyone's battling for position. Like, this is a chance for a lot of people to save their race, and we just don't get to see it. And then we get to the last lap. They go off into turn one, and then into turn two, and then onto the back straight, still showing the leaders. However, we do get a little bit of the Goodyear blimp zooming out into turn one. And then the backstretch crash happens. While the leaders are going through 2 and 3, they're showing the 16 and the 14 spinning out of control. And that's it. We see them crashing ahead, we see them crashing beside them, and it's just the smoke. We don't get to see any of the actual crashing, which I can't really blame anybody for that. That's just a camera not being in the right spot and just the broadcast choosing it at the wrong time. I can't be mad at that. But then they cut back to the leaders driving off down the front stretch. Then they show William Byron crossing the line, and then it gets to third place crossing the line. And then they cut to William Byron. I'm not sure if y'all watched that. They were 4 and 5 wide over the line, and we didn't get to see it. They never showed it at all. We missed so much of the actual racing. Just about the entire event centered around that one restart and that one overtime, and we saw none of it. What a joke. What a joke. I can't believe that, bro. I still can't believe that. And I think that's it. That was the entire cup race. Now, for all these events, I put them all in these little brackets, right, on a Google Doc. Like you have a cup, and then you have bullet points, Xfinity bullet points, truck bullet points, GT America bullet points. The cup bullet points are only like 5 or 6. IndyCar has like 13 or 12. F1 has 3. NBA has 1. Xfinity has 3. Trucks has 4. Like, NASCAR just had a horrible event at Vegas. Like, this new next-gen car last year was performing very well on 1.5 mile and 2 mile tracks. The 2 mile race at Auto Club was pretty good. It wasn't as good as last year's race, but it was still pretty good. And the Vegas race had some racing, but I just didn't find a reason to watch it because the booth sucked. Like, it's so many tiny flaws in the Fox broadcast that just culminate in this god awful broadcast. I'm so done with this, bro. I'm gonna be 100. I'm not even gonna cap. I don't want to watch this. I just don't want to watch this. But yeah, overall, good race. Good race overall. Uh, no, not a good race. Not a good race. Race is fucking garbage. My name is Lucas Treman. I'm sorry y'all had to watch this. Lucas Treman signing out. Like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, by the way. I have a Twitter now. I'm plugging that now. I have a Twitter. Don't follow my Instagram because I don't want y'all doing that. But yeah, Lucas Treman on Twitter. I have a black cat emoji. Well, no, not emoji, just a black cat profile pic. Anyway, Lucas Treman. Follow me on Twitter. Signing out.